Hey, it's Tony with Excalibur. On this week's video, we'll cover my stainless steel bimini cover, hardtop thing, as well as finally completing the project I started last fall. So hit that subscribe button. I'm only a few short of 1,000 subscribers, so I really need you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, comment, and now let's get to the video. Hard Dodger frame that I had built. I commissioned a welder to build, and he kind of screwed it up. I think I told y'all in a previous video about my having to threaten to get the welder arrested for fraud if he didn't bring it back. And he said he had it built, so this is what it looks like. See how screwed up it is? And see the weld. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm changing these legs. I went and cut some more pieces to change these legs to get it down flat. This is just a temporary structure, just to have some shade over my cockpit this summer so I can work in the cockpit. You guys should have seen me getting this on the boat last night. Of course, like I said, I bought these fence post holders to hold these legs together because he hadn't done any of that stuff yet. But I dragged it down here, flopped it over onto the boat, went on the boat and started pulling it in. It slipped. I slipped. It fell in the water. The only thing that kept it from going all the way in was the grill right here. So let's see if we can get this here done. Get these legs changed out so it sits flat. Have a look at this crap. The legs are the wrong size. I've actually had to put some clamps on it to put some legs on it because the welds are so bad. You know, look at that. He was supposed to have put 45s on all these corners like this, and be able to. I was supposed to be able to put the wire through here. Of course, he didn't do any of that, but it is what it is. So I'm just gonna fix it so I can use it this summer as a shade cover. All right, so what I'm doing now is actually changing the legs, taking the longer legs off that were miscut by the welder, and changing them to two legs that I cut from material that I have left over. That material, and of course you can see, have a little issue doing everything by myself, but it is what it is. So this is basically what I'm trying to do, is just put these little clamps on, get this these legs in, and then in a few minutes we'll get a cover and get a tarp over the top of it. Of course, it takes a few back and forth, tightening, straightening. The legs, you know, they're not completely straight when I first put them on, and adjusting. What I'm doing now is actually just putting a cloth up under the legs because I don't have the feet on them yet, just to keep it from scratching the paint in some areas. But it is what it is again. So what I'm trying to do, like I said, I'm just straightening things up. The legs have to be readjusted. So that's basically all I'm doing. It's not rocket science. Okay, so what I'm doing now, I'm actually I had a little small tarp that I've had for a long time. It's got a few holes in it, so I had actually ordered a new tarp. So that's all I'm doing now, is getting the new tarp out to get it on top of this temporary bimini cover, hard top bimini. Of course, this is actually the second time I recorded this. So the first time I put the tarp on upside down, where the brown side was exposed instead of the silver side. And I wanted the silver side because that's what I have on that goes over the Dodger area, is a silver. And so I purchased another tarp to overlap that one, so to make sure I didn't get any moisture into the cockpit when it rains. And it's worked so far. It's worked out pretty good. I did have a issue. I left the boat for a couple of days to go to Florida to visit my friend. Some of you may have seen that video. Unfortunately, that was not a good outcome. He passed away while I was there. So that was a little sad. But when I came back, And you'll see here in the video in a minute that I actually take and put some poles up under this to help lift it up a little bit so moisture or water won't accumulate on top of the tarp. And I've actually had to have it pulled very tight so it doesn't accumulate. But unfortunately, when I got back from Florida yesterday, which was Wednesday the 28th, I guess, of May, it it had rained so much the tarp, the whole system had collapsed because the feet are not attached; they're just sitting there, and everything wasn't tight. What I didn't tighten everything down tight enough because I was still going to do some adjustments to it. It had collapsed, and I had to use a pump to pump the water out the tarp because it was too heavy for me to even pick up. I should have taken pictures of it, but you know, I don't. Shooting videos is not the first thing I think about when I come to the boat, so I didn't take videos or even a picture of the 30 or 40 gallons of water that was sitting on top of the tarp in my cockpit. So I had to pump all that out and then put the tarp back up. Luckily, it didn't. Even though I had this tarp using the little plastic ties down, zip ties down, it didn't rip any of the grommets out. And what it did, it just pulled the zip ties loose, which just goes to tell you that the zip ties you get from Harbor Freight ain't worth crap. So that's what happened. A little bit of weight got on it, and that's what happened. All right, so now we've actually moved into the second project I got done last week. This is the hatch. And the reason I'm putting a hatch in my cockpit floor is so that I can be able to get to my steering quadrant. Some of you may remember who have been watching the videos about the cockpit seat that I cut out and then had to put back, which was an effort to be able to get to my steering quadrant. So in the first couple of videos I made, I think I actually showed this picture of me taking this out. Anyway, so this is something I did last fall. So what you're seeing right here are videos that I took last fall. The reason I'm having to do a voiceover is I was listening to an audio book at the time, and there's no way of cutting that out. So I'm having to voice over all this. And I got a new microphone, somewhat inexpensive, so I hope it sounds okay. So what I'm doing is, you can see I've got the grinder out. I have drawn this up. I've got the grinder out that's trying to start cutting out the top layer of fiberglass. So what the cockpit is, it's two layers of fiberglass. There's balsa wood, and there's also some other solid wood sandwiched between two layers of fiberglass. So here I'm using the grinder with a cutoff wheel to try and cut through this, and it's not doing a great job, to be honest with you. I thought it would be doing a better job than it's doing. And so hold on just a second, you'll see me probably change tools. Yeah, sitting there trying to decide what to do, trying to see if I can make this work, because it's not, sometimes when you start a project, you think you've got everything you need to get things going, and then kind of suddenly realize that what you think is going to work doesn't seem to be working as well. And using this cutoff wheel with the on the fiberglass and the wood underneath, it doesn't seem to be doing as well a job as I thought it would. So here in a moment you'll see me change. Of course, being the knucklehead I am, I keep trying to use this, but that's just because that's the way I do things. And then I went and got the other little saw. I forget what you call it, the little reciprocating saw, vibrating saw, whatever it is. I went and got it with a blade on it. Finally, I decided, you know what? Let's just cut a bunch of holes with the drill, and makes it easier for those saw blades to get through this. So that's what you see me doing here. I'm using a drill bit just to drill a line of holes down through here. And that'll make it, because one of the problems that you have when you're cutting into something that is solid, even though this is 2 layers of fiberglass and layers of wood, it's still solid. Is it makes it difficult. You end up burning a lot because the dust doesn't have any way of getting out, in a lot of times. You know, it's not like using a circular saw where you can kick the dust up or kick the dust below where you're cutting and stuff. So what I'm doing is just using the drill, uh, putting a drill hole about every half inch, and now you can see I can use that little vibrating saw, and it's just cutting it pretty good. You know, it's doing a really good job of cutting through that top layer of fiberglass. And you can see here I'm coming back to the corner because I didn't get it cut real good at the corners, to make it easier to cut out around the corners to put that hatch in. Now what I'm cutting around right now is an old autopilot wheel thing that was connected. Now you can see where I pulled up the top layer of fiberglass and where the balsa has rotted. The stuff on the left there is actually solid wood, and so you know I'm just trying to clean things up here with the small saw, the circular the oscillating saw. That's what it's called, an oscillating saw. I can't always remember the name of it. It's called an oscillating saw. Here I just grabbed the jigsaw and figure I can cut this sticker, because in this area here, the area you see that's white there, and that what you see on top of that is where someone has tried to shoot epoxy down into there and to get to the soft spot that was over on the right, and it didn't work. It just, you know, it really didn't work. So anyway, I've got the jigsaw, be able to cut through the thicker areas, and you'll be able to see that in a minute, just how thick it gets in a couple of areas around. Okay, you can see there on the top left there of seeing how thick that area is. Actually, it's a couple of layers of solid wood, and I'm using the jigsaw to run around everything out, clean everything up with the jigsaw, because when I was cutting with the other saws, with the jigsaw particularly, I didn't get it particularly straight. I don't mean the jigsaw, I mean the sawzall. I don't know why I keep saying jigsaw. But anyway, I've got it all squared up, and you can see it fits in there nice and snug. And I don't know if any of y'all noticed in this video, I actually had a mustache. The only time in my life I've ever grown a mustache. You probably saw it at the very beginning. So it was not a great look. But at least I got that part right there done. So what you'll see coming up now is me actually repairing and fixing this.
All right, let's start installing this hatch. We decided just to leave it where it's at. So the first thing I got to do is let me vacuum any dust that's in here. Everything feels nice and dry. Left it out for a day just to make sure nothing would be wet. So let me get it vacuumed out.
And so that's just what I go get the portable vacuum, the DeWalt vacuum, and just vacuum any stuff that's up inside the crevice area or the hollow where I'm getting ready to put some Cusa board. And you can see I'm trying it out and make sure the Cusa board fits in there. I'm using remnants that I had previously.
I think the best thing to do is get a piece of cardboard, cut it, slide it up in there, mark it, then cut the piece. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of get a general idea what I got going here on this side. So I'm basically going from 2 inches to about 1, 2, 3 and 3 3/4.
I always have some cardboard laying around from packages I buy from Amazon.
Okay, now let's see how well this does. That's pretty good right there. Let's mark that. So what I'll do is cut the crucible board into it, then come back and trim it up.
I'm just using my multifunction scissors to cut the cardboard. When I say multifunction, this is the only pair of scissors I have on the boat, so it cuts everything from opening bags of vegetables to whatever.
No, that piece ain't long enough. Let's see. That ain't quite working. Oh, all right. This light come out of this piece here. This place just come out of, so I have the less material left. I think that's probably it right there.
One of the reasons I have all these odd size pieces of Kusa board is this is half-inch Kusa board that was left over from where I put Kusa board in the cabin sole. That we'll get back to. Y'all have seen that before, but we'll get back to that and get that covered here soon. But that's the reason I have all these odd size pieces. I actually had some bigger pieces, but when we had a really high tide, I had them sitting over by my dock box. And unfortunately, I had three larger pieces, and two of them actually floated away. And well, actually, all three of them floated away, but one of them actually floated inside the dock shed, so I was able to get that back.
Doesn't sound like that, so like that right there. All right. Let's get adhesive. Let's get some stuff mixed up. Pretty rough in this. I don't think it needs sanding for the taking the epoxy.
I hope a lot of y'all are enjoying the voiceover. Some of you have decided to comment that you didn't like the music. Sometimes I like the music, sometimes I like doing voiceovers.
Somebody says it looks like mayonnaise, not peanut butter. The reason I said peanut butter is because I don't eat mayonnaise, so I'm not sure what mayonnaise thickens up like. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll put the epoxy in the hole to start with so I can push it back in there. So it fills it behind it.
This particular video has a lot of video that I have sped up, and that's the reason you're getting so much voiceover. Of course, you could go get music.
Now I'll get this piece. Let's get the back side first.
Okay, as you can see here, I'm spreading the thickened epoxy. I'm putting it on the back side, and then I'll put the other. Then I'll start the thickened epoxy on the front side as I install it.
Let's get started, then I'll put some more on it as I drive it in. It's a little hard to do this, hold this. I get the back side done. So let me get this started. Get it started up in there. Let me grab a hammer.
Yeah, so I'm just using the hammer to tap it in place, and then as you can see, I'm adding the extra epoxy to the top to make sure everything's locked in nice.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to have a lot more gloves than I got. Shit.
Yeah, I've gotten glue all over the gloves. I only had one pair of gloves, one or two pair of gloves, and so I just said, heck with it. I'll just make do with what I got and wash it off later. Again, I'm using different pieces of epoxy to make things work, doing the measurements with the square there, so I can make sure I get it far enough up inside there where it comes in contact with the existing balsa wood, and that was the reasoning behind sticking epoxy into the cavity itself.
All right, got this one mixed up a little bit thicker this time. It feels thicker. Oops. I'll get as much inside here as I get into down there.
I hope y'all realize that it takes a lot of time to do this stuff like this, as far as doing these repairs or projects or whatever. And so, I wanted to give you as much footage of what I'm actually doing. But if I did not speed up the videos, these videos would be 8, 9, 10 hours long. And hell, I can tell from how you guys watch, you don't watch that much of them anyway. You only watch about a third of a video anyway. So some of you are actually missing some of the good stuff.
Mixing cup this week. Peanut can.
I always keep a can or two left over from vegetables, or in this case peanuts or whatever I have, to use as mixing cups. And that's just because I'm a cheap bastard. That's the only reason why.
All right, that's done. Let it dry. Right here, sand all this off and get it put in tonight. Keep pushing stuff in there.
I had a couple of little small gaps between the Kusa board pieces that I had to come back and fill in, and that's what I'm doing now, is filling in with epoxy. Now here's what I'm doing with the jigsaw. I'm just trimming out the Kusa board where I made it a little bit wider than it needed to be. And now just coming back and starting cleaning up the edges, getting them sanded down, so that when I go to install this and the whatever that crap is called, the 4200, the adhesive sealant, can make a really good bond. That's the biggest thing about this, the making sure your adhesive makes a good bond to your substrate, because if it don't, then you won't get a waterproof seal. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just getting this sanded down really well. I mean, the entire cockpit has to be sanded eventually, when I get around to it. One of y'all send me when there's around to it, will you? But it all has to be. But as you can see, I'm ready to go at this point.
All right, I'm gonna go clean this up, and then we're gonna I'm gonna go clean this up, and then we're going to install it. Ready. Let's wipe this down with acetone. All right. So got this cleaned up. We're gonna put some 4200 on it. Let's have that bigger nozzle.
And y'all probably just heard what sounds like feedback, but that's not feedback. That's me listening to a book in the background, and I, I just wanted to keep this on here. So I'm using the 4200 fast cure, and I'm just making sure I'm getting enough on that to seal this bad boy, because the one thing I don't want to have happen is it leaking. So I'm getting it down in there, getting this, making sure I'm getting good sealant coming through. And that's one thing that I did do, pushing it down. I did have sealant coming up through the screw holes. I'm using stainless steel screws here to put this down, and it's coming out. It's doing real well. I'm using I'm not sure if I'm using a drive. Yeah, I'm using a driver thing, not a drill. So I don't want to, because this is polyethylene plastic or whatever. I don't want to break the rim by screwing it too hard with the drill, which can often happen.
One project complete. 99 more to go.
Alright, so what we have here is a preview of next week's projects. One where I'm doing some fiberglass work for that thing in the bathroom, as well as painting the pedestal. I want to thank everybody that has watched the video. Continue to watch them. Please hit that subscribe button. I need subscribers. And again, if you want to see these videos early, you can join my Patreon page. That's patreon.com/SV Excalibur. I appreciate it. Anything y'all happen to contribute goes directly to the boat. Thank you, and I'll see you guys again next week.